Welcome back to the Positively Jack podcast, where we dish real-time strategies on nutrition, fitness, wellness, and lifestyle trends to prioritize positive psychological habits and best practices. Our goal of each episode is to relay helpful information in topics relating to health, mental and physical, nutrition, lifestyle, and habit formation. In addition, give RTS, or real-time strategy, that anyone can apply in the same day to benefit themselves.
What are the ground rules for this week?
Say that again.
I said, what's the ground rules for this week?
Ground rules. Ooh, this is an interesting one. This is one that we came up with, 2 or 3 weeks ago?
I mean, it's pretty top of mind for a lot of people right now.
It is, yes, because there are quite a bit of fluctuations in grocery prices right now. And while we won't get into potential reasoning behind that, we will get into a lot of ways for you to navigate that, as well as just affordable ways in general to kind of prioritize fitness and nutrition. Because a lot of times people think that it's out of reach due to cost.
Well, it's the first line item a lot of people go to cut when times get maybe a little tighter.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it shouldn't be. It should be the non-negotiable.
Right. Well, that's how we feel, but...
That's how we feel.
We're also here.
We live this life. It's
hard-earned, hard-practiced habits. But
it doesn't have to be complicated.
It doesn't. And it actually, I think there's going to be a lot of surprising stuff in this. I think that's the thing that I'm looking most forward to is kind of shining a light on how affordable and how approachable some of these tactics make fitness and nutrition. But the ground rules for today, as just mentioned, we're going to be going over some budget-friendly fitness hacks and nutrition hacks, the ways to kind of maximize your dollar when it comes to either training or nutrition. We're going to look a little bit at like the appropriate areas to splurge, as well as budget-friendly MVPs. Straight up Aldi fans over here. I think quite a few of us are like that, but and that's going to be it. Then we're going to do a little bit of a wrap up and give a little bit of a challenge to any listeners.
Yep.
So do you want to just get right into it?
Yeah, I'm excited about this because, I feel like you and I both grew up in pretty
households.
Budget. How did you put it?
Cheap households.
Yeah, budget strapped would be a word. And I don't think I ever appreciated how savvy my parents were until I lived that life where it was a matter of $50 in the bank account lasting a whole month.
Yeah, when I think of my dad being 35 with 5 kids to feed while he worked 12 hours a day, I'm just like, wow, what a juggle, not only a life circumstance, but budget. I couldn't even imagine. Yeah.
And I mean, we live and strive to live better than our parents did. We try to do better than that. And so, when I go to the gym now, I see people who spend my family's entire grocery budget on leggings or, an entire meal is a protein bar or, we know people and, we train people who have means to support $500 a month in fitness. And that's great. I'm not digging on that at all.
But it isn't how it has to go. And
no, it isn't.
Because examples like that can be a little bit louder and not, like I said, we're not undercutting it. We're not saying it's a bad thing, but because those examples can be louder, people think if I don't have that, then what's the point of starting?
Yeah. Well, marketing is marketing, right?
Yeah.
Those are the things in your face all the time that you have to have the built out garage gym or the expensive trainer, all these things.
Or 17 pairs of shoes for every potential fitness encounter. The 1-inch elevated heel, the 2-inch elevated heel, the trail running shoes, the non-trail running shoes, the walking shoes, the recovery shoes, the recovery socks. I could keep going on.
Recovery socks.
That's a thing. That's a
thing.
Recovery socks for plantar fasciitis.
Oh my God.
And they 100% work. But also, that is how detailed this stuff can get. But you don't have to do all of that. The whole idea is that you get started and then, as momentum builds, because this is about momentum. It's not about money. It's about, one of Jess's favorite phrases, habit stacking, starting small, finding something that kind of meets you where you're at and building out to that idyllic situation, right? But you gotta start where you are. Otherwise you're going to be either intimidated. If we go a little bit 1 week ago to the last episode about fear and anxiety, when you see examples like that, it builds you up with anxiety and fear and worry that you don't have those resources and you don't even get started. So
Yep.
finding all the ways around that.
And so to give you a little context, when we built this episode, we were thinking, what if somebody had $100, one Benjamin to put toward fitness and nutrition? Well, maybe not all their food. We know better that groceries are going to be covered by $100, but we were thinking in old school terms, how can we stretch to hit that mark or close to that mark?
Yep. So when we're giving these little tidbits, just think that $100 a month is what we had in mind, which that's a stretch for you. You can obviously back it down. And if that seems too little to you to be effective, shoot me a call and I'd happily discuss these things with you. Okay. So $100 a month was the constraint. Definitely beginner friendly, but useful also for people scaling back or people who have some experience and want to start anew, if you will. And we want to focus on bringing you as much value to your dollar, not just, spreading that dollar as thin as possible. We want to make sure it's effective.
Right.
Okay. So we're going to start with budget-friendly fitness hacks.
Yeah. I can't say enough about YouTube.
Yeah.
There is no shortage of fitness that can be found on YouTube, of any type. I've done strength workouts from YouTube. I've done yoga. I've done mobility. I've done high intensity interval training, like the CrossFit style, everything. So super useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing is YouTube doesn't have to stop at finding one person, right? You could find a workout from one person, really like it, and then maybe not quite understand or not necessarily know the form or technique. And all you type into the search bar is scaling this movement. And you'll find another resource and another. And it's just such a cool thing that you could just sit there for 5 minutes and figure out how to make a workout that you found work for you so quickly.
Yeah, that's how I got started with yin yoga. It was actually YouTube. I think at the time, which was 6 years ago, a search for yin yoga on YouTube net 24,000 videos. And so that's what I did. I just started doing, yoga video. So I use yin yoga for mobility. And so I would learn different ways to stretch. I learned different ways to hold poses. I learned how to couple movements together in a session for myself. It was invaluable, especially anytime you have a sore spot, you're trying to work out, or my hips are tight, go on YouTube. Yep. There are tons of ways.
Stretches for tight hips. Bam.
Yep. Piriformis alone. The word piriformis.
It's a hot ticket. But yeah, no, it's an amazing free resource in the world of social media and stuff like that. I think YouTube is also, people are realizing business-wise, content-wise, it's the place to be for the longer attention span. And people are leaning on it. People are building out their YouTube profiles as they would a business page. And it works for them. Millions and millions of views. You've got a few listed. Caroline Gervin for strength.
Yep.
I've never used her.
I've used her, just little garage sessions. They're super short and concise. So if you've got 20, 30 minutes, there you go.
Love that.
And then yoga with Adrienne is always a favorite. I feel like I've recommended yoga with Adrienne to everybody. And she does yin yoga. She does flow yoga, vinyasa, whatever you want. And she does stretching. So that's cool. I've only used Juice and Toya a couple times because I have enough access to CrossFit workouts, but I did want to call one out. Okay. And then Fitness Blender has a bunch.
These are all great.
I know.
These are all such good recommendations.
There's so many. And then obviously, I still watch old Kelly Starrett videos from 2008 when I go to stretch.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was mobility guru and still is to this day. He was a wealth of knowledge then. It just took a little while for YouTube to catch up.
Yep, he was really at the forefront. So you had another good one.
Which one was that?
Coach to 5K.
Couch to 5K. Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought we were
Coach.
still
I
on
said
YouTube.
coach to 5K. It's couch. I
I
can't
was like,
read.
Coach to 5K. No, yeah, sorry. I thought we were still talking YouTube. Yes, no, Couch to 5K apps. So there are, let's be real, we all have phones capable of utilizing apps, whether it's iPhone, whether it's Android, whatever camp you fall into. There are so many fitness apps and so many ones that have pre-programmed programs in them, right? They go with your algorithm, you can put in your numbers, and Couch to 5K apps are some of the easiest because you need no equipment, you need space or a trail, and eventually you will need good shoes. And that's going to be a little bit more into the splurge section, but it's so simple because what's the one thing everybody can do without equipment or without anything, to purchase? Move your body. And the easiest way to move your body is on your own 2 feet. And so that's probably one of the easiest, simplest, low barrier to entries. Many of them are free or less than a few bucks for a pretty decent linear progression program. And these programs are so intuitive now that you can punch in your numbers and it can adjust your paces and it can adjust your efforts down the road. And all you got to do is punch in the numbers.
I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't call out ChatGPT for.
Very fair.
I don't love using personalized advice from ChatGPT, but there is some help there if you need running tips or some pacing strategy that I found.
I will say this: if in my experience with the ChatGPT, one thing that benefited me the most, if that is something that you're wanting to do, give it a resource first.
Yep.
Say, I want you to understand or look into the knowledge base for this, because when everybody knows I'm always like 3 years behind when it comes to technology. So I just really started using it like sometime in the past few months. And one of the first things I did was give it authors, books, and resources that I use probably on a daily, if not a week, or a weekly, if not a daily basis. And because of that, now when I ask, hey, I'm looking for a recipe that kind of fits these macros and these groceries, and it spills it out, I know that Precision Nutrition Level 1 coaching book is what is helping me inform that. So give it a little bit of a knowledge base to pull from. And yes, it is an absolutely incredible tool. It has also given me some pretty funny fails though.
Oh yeah. It's given me complete incorrect information at times.
Do
a whole episode on its own.
Okay. We brought into the idea of running, fitness trails, parks. That kind of brings that into the fold too. You actually have a really nice trail that we used over break when we came and visited.
Yeah, the Greenway.
Yeah, really loved that. Great chance to see community, the neighborhood, but it had good transitions, good hills, and some of them even have things like pull-up bars, stretching spots, stairs, little pieces where it's like you don't have to pay even a low dollar gym membership. You don't have to pay it to have access to those pieces of equipment. Now, I will say, knowing how to use those stands, we gave you the answer to that already. YouTube.
Yep.
If you go there and you have your phone in hand, type in on YouTube, how do I use, and then read the sign that's next to your little fitness station, and I'm willing to bet you can pull something up. Cost you nothing except for 30 seconds of your time and a little bit of Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think on that note, you brought it up. Look, when you're looking on YouTube, there's a lot of body weight basics that you can pull that don't require any equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Or things you just have around your house to push, pull, squat, and hinge and do core work.
Yep. There's a fascinating book. I feel bad for not putting in those, but it's just called Jailhouse Strong. And it was just written in the idea and the spirit of, are you in a 5x8 cell with nothing but your body weight? What workouts can you do? And they come up with some really intense, creative stuff, but it's true. Your body weight it's a piece of equipment you take with you everywhere.
Well, I think if you start looking through the lens of, I have a constraint, you sometimes get to creativity.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, how many of us have gone on a trip and wanted to get a workout in and have come up with something on the fly that still was really good? Because we had to.
Necessity is the mother of invention. And I don't know whose quote that is exactly, but I get it from the cable guy. So
I get it from the cable guy.
I know it's a quote from somebody inspirational, but I can't think of that without thinking of the cable guy and Jim Carrey when they're in medieval times battling each other.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Neil's going to listen to this and want to watch that now.
Okay, so with the fitness stuff though, we've been giving a lot of ideas, but we're all about actionable ways, and we talked about the $100 budget. So we do have some minimal equipment ideas, cheap equipment that we utilize weekly, if not daily, that is very much so worth buying. And the first one we have on the list is resistance bands. 15 to 30 bucks. You can get a good pack of bands, and the bands can be added to quite a few different movements and different patterns. I love them just because of their varying resistance. Right at the bottom, when it's slacked, it's not a lot of resistance. At the top, it's a lot. So it gives you a good, fun way to vary, just because in bodyweight exercises, that top and bottoms of things are always the same feel, and in between's the weird stuff. It's really interesting when you get to lockouts or certain positions in the top creates more tension. And so I love bands for that.
They also make stretching more exciting.
They do.
So I will also add yoga mat to that line item. I feel like right in there.
Oh yeah, you can find a yoga mat at
easy
Kohl's or Marshall's for $5 to $10. That's pretty decent.
I got mine on Facebook Marketplace unopened for $5.
Follow Jess for more fiscal advice when it comes to fitness stuff. The next one, jump rope. Easy conditioning piece. Realistically, it's something that is going to help you run. It's going to help you impact absorb, over time. And it's just nice. It's a nice piece of cardio equipment, so you don't have to go running on a trail every time.
Yep.
And then you have adjustable dumbbells on there, which is watch Facebook Marketplace. You are absolutely on the spot with that one. I have looked at Facebook Marketplace several times this week, and each time I've found some form of Bowflex dumbbells or the Power Stack or some.
Yeah. I almost didn't put them on there because I rarely see them go low enough for the $100 mark, but they are such a good time and space investment if you can find them used. Like, I wish I had a set versus I've just slowly accumulated dumbbells over time, but I do wish I had a set of those.
There are a few others, and these are a little bit more specialty, and it would be stuff like sliders, furniture sliders. They're about $5 a piece, but if you're on a carpet, you can use those to change angles and give you a little bit more of sliding tension, so you can move through a curve a little bit. And then something that's real simple that we've suggested before is using a backpack with weights in it as a sandbag.
Yeah, books.
Yeah, books.
Whatever you can put it in.
Gallon jug that you fill the sand.
Oh yeah.
You got to get creative.
Gallon jug.
We used to have a 26-pound wall ball that we created from sand to Gorilla Glue, duct tape, and a basketball. So
we filled a garbage bag with sand, like a good, strong, sturdy black garbage bag with sand. It gets the job done.
Yeah.
So,
how much do you want to work out?
Yeah. I mean, I did a lot during COVID and I made it work. I think kettlebells and dumbbells are always a good investment too. Even one kettlebell and a 35-pound weight and a set of dumbbells goes a long way.
Very long way.
You can do so many things with dumbbells.
And you also, that might be all you need. Depending on what your training is and what you're trying to do, that really could be all you need. I'm always a fan of external load because I do know that does make you stronger, but it doesn't have to be a ton. And if you get creative with the movements, it can be more than enough.
Yeah. Yep.
But on that note, just as a little teaser, we are putting together some of our first programming tracks, and one of them is minimal equipment workouts designed for small spaces and small budgets. And reason being is because individualized coaching price point can deter people from seeking out a coach, but we would love it if we had people gave people a low barrier to entry way to start some sort of fitness for anybody lacking either motivation, ideas, or both. And we'd pair it with a little online grouping and make it simple.
Yep. Make community the glue.
Yep.
I think that there's not enough of that. You can get, apps with workouts any day, but you get people with that. And I think that's the staying power of fitness, is having that.
You're absolutely right. Okay. So fitness aside, now we talk about fueling, nutrition, eating, which is obviously going to be where the bigger adjustments to budget are going to be, right? You can work out, a few times a week, but you're going to eat every day, hopefully.
The versatility and possibilities with nutrition are so much more plentiful than fitness. I think it was difficult when we were talking about this earlier to kind of narrow it down. So,
Yep. And so one of our first pieces here is stick to staples. And what we mean by staples are the things that we know are high calorie, high macronutrient density, high micronutrient density, but also low to cost. And the list we have, I love, but I'm going to give a little bit more detail to it because I like to have fun with this stuff. But I did a little cost analysis of per 100 calories. And I love it because when you think about buying per 100 calories, it seems kind of far-fetched, but if you know that you need to be 2,000 calories a day and you're averaging, 50 cents a calorie, like that's $10 to feed you for an entire day. That's not that bad as far as groceries go. And so just some quick examples here. If you're looking for some of the most affordable protein options per 100 calories, lentils. Lentils have a huge amount of protein. They have a huge amount of iron and folate, and they are 29 cents per 100 calories. I think it is honestly the cheapest protein that I found as far as calorie density and macronutrients and all that stuff. But if you're not somebody who wants to go plant-based, ground turkey is 65 cents per pound. Eggs, even though they're on the rise, 70 cents per, or not pound, 100 calories. And then you go into the staples of carbs, white rice, 25 cents per 100 calories. Oats, 33 cents. Tortillas, 48 cents. All of these seem really simple, and they are, and they're very cheap, but they can provide you a lot of calorie and a lot of macro friendliness if you add them into your groceries, or if they're not in there already.
well, and I think it's important to point out that what you're talking about is ingredients, right? Mm-hmm. The more unprocessed the ingredient you buy at the grocery store, typically the more cost friendly it is. The more processed, the more packaging, the more cost. Yep. So right out of the gate, change the way you look at the things in the grocery store helps you kind of look at it, bringing down the cost of what you're eating.
Right. Yeah.
While not losing the nutrition.
Right. Yeah, no, the only thing I would say caveat to that is protein sources can vary wildly.
Well, completely.
Right? But having said that, that is if we were to give like a off the cuff budget, just or a piece of advice, that's where you should almost expect the cost per 100 calories or per pound to be higher. Everything else is quite a bit cheaper.
And Neil added notes to the Aldi section accounting for that. So
I love that. That leads us into meal prep. Meal prep, smart, not fancy. Buy once, prep 3 times. So you have a great example here because this is so easy for us to use. Big batch grilled chicken or instant pot shredded chicken, just a bunch of chicken breast, cook them all together at the same time with some seasoning, spices, or sauces. And that can lead to all sorts of things.
I think our 5 ingredient bowls are a perfect example.
Yeah.
So Neil made shredded pork, pulled pork this week, a ton of it, a literal ton. And we have eaten bowls, tacos. We've eaten it plain just with barbecue sauce on it. It's one protein that is stretched into 3 or 4 different meals. I think he's going to make nachos with it tomorrow.
Nice.
So there you go. And that was one protein.
Yeah. One protein took one execution of one, quote unquote recipe. Did he smoke that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. There's other ways.
No, you don't have to. You can bake it, bro. You can do a lot of different stuff with it. But
yeah.
Okay. Then planning your meals backwards is a great one. Kels does this a lot. She'll actually even not only plan, but log meals backwards. So she knows what she has or what she's going to have in a couple of days and build recipes based off of knowing when meals will happen. But looking in your fridge or your pantry first. And then we kind of talked about this a few minutes ago, using AI or Google recipes and kind of backfill. And then that way you're not walking around going by, what you feel like buying. What is that saying? That don't ever go grocery buying hungry. It doesn't matter if you have a list, you're going to just grab a bunch of randomness, but it's nice to have this built out, knowing where it's going to be applied to. And it makes you a little more conscientious of what you're spending on.
I think batch cooking and shopping your own pantry first are the most underutilized cost-saving measures you can take. I think it's the thing that when we work with people, they overlook. like we bring it up and you'd think like we had changed everything. I just don't think people think about that. So being
Yeah.
able to stretch one meal, 3 meals, or
Yep.
being able to batch enough to freeze, like
Mhm.
the bigger you can buy ingredients, like it saves money.
Absolutely. And also stuff that preserves for a long time. It's like, hey, do you by chance have, crushed tomatoes and black beans in your pantry? Most of us do, because it's the canned thing that everybody buys and almost always
Yeah.
overbuys. And just the simple act of pulling that out of your pantry and putting it to use, that just saved you $5, which
Yeah.
isn't a ton, but that could be used somewhere else.
And maybe I'm just like the weirdo, but I kind of find it fun to shop the pantry, then go to the grocery sale and like
Yeah.
play the game of like, how can I game my menu this week? I
I
think
like that. Yeah.
so good.
I love that you've turned it into a game at this point.
Yeah, between that and AI of like, tell me what I can make with this random things, and it
Yeah.
always comes up with something.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool tool.
It
Great.
is.
One that we've always, segueing out of the meal prep exactly, but one thing that we always try to suggest is tracking habits, not macros, right? Like you're not going to walk around with a macro scale, and it takes a very long time to learn exactly like calories and macros with different things. And sometimes it's not the way it's going to go. It's not always going to be an even portion. So tracking habits, not macros. There are free tools, Google Sheets, habit apps, a wall calendar, even. A lot of people like analog with this and just little checklists, which is all great. And there's some really good places to start.
Yeah.
So easy places to start, one protein every meal. That one is actually really tough for a lot of people. And that is also a great way to start implementing some plant-based protein like the lentils, because sometimes, solid animal protein is a little bit much at each meal. So you can start thinking outside the box on that. 2 servings of veggies a day, not a huge ask, but makes a huge difference as far as hunger, satiety, and micronutrients. And walk after eating, help the digestion process a little bit by moving your body. And all of those things lead to just really good benefits from your food without even having to look at a number.
Yep. Yep. And it flows so nicely with meal planning and shopping to do it by habits. Like you're already habit stacking right there.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. They all coincide. Easy implementing together. All right. So, do we want to go to budget-friendly MVPs?
Yeah. So we love Aldi. I think that's the way to start.
Yeah.
We love Aldi. Between the Big Hot and the Kohler families, we pretty much should be paid by Aldi to send this message.
It just when you take into consideration the simplicity of what we're talking about, Aldi hits. It's the bigger name brands that you won't get, and there are certain things that you can't find at Aldi. But when it comes to the baser needs of protein, veggies, carbs, and fats, I'd be surprised if you couldn't find something there that worked for you for a weekly meal plan.
Yeah. So the first one, and these are all Neil had great notes. Whole chickens. Whole chickens are surprisingly cheap, and that's because they require you to do a lot more work than if you just bought boneless, skinless chicken breasts. But I don't think once we started doing it, it's really not as hard as we made it out to be. There are so many fun ways to cook whole chickens. I'll just throw out spatchcock and let you Google.
Yep. There you go.
Spatchcock is amazing. Milk chicken, amazing. So one whole chicken is 3 to 4 meals, or one if you're Nate. But like
that's absolutely true. I'm sorry. I eat a lot,
Or if you like get into smoking eventually, once you get further in your journey. For us, it was 3 or 4 years in before we tried smoking. But like, smoked chicken,
smoked any meat. But
chicken. But yeah, there's so many ways to do whole chicken, and it's kind of fun, and it looks pretty, and it feels special. So the other one,
so much.
Yeah, it does. So do half pork butts, which is like Neil's other favorite.
Was that what was made the pork this week?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, he got 2 because like you can get half pork butts as big as you want, but Aldi has like smaller ones that Like if you don't smoke your meat and you're doing it in your oven or you're doing it in your crock pot, like you can do it with these. They're a great size. So he'll buy like 2 of them. So that's what he did last week. He had 2 of them.
Nice.
So tender, high protein, low effort. Like literally it's put it somewhere to cook while you do everything else you have to do on a Sunday.
Yep.
He also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said I love all those. I'm learning from Neil like everybody else.
I know everybody. He's just amazing. He also really likes they have thin sliced meats at Aldi. So one of the big ways we save money during the week is we make a lot of soups. We are ramen fans in our house. And it is so easy to do like thin sliced beef in a soup. And it just elevates the ramen. Throw in veggies like bok choy. You can do it in lettuce wraps. It's just really good for budget flexibility. And this is where like he would want me to say that he's working on a guide of lesser known meats and how to cook them.
I love that. No, I love that because a lot of people think, they go by habits formed from before. And it's like they know a couple of cuts of steak and they know ground meat, but that's it. They don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily know certain other cuts or like why you would use certain percentage of like beefs and porks and stuff like that for different meals. So that's actually a huge resource just because people are intimidated by learning new recipes or new things that can be involved in a recipe.
Well, and a lot of people, let's face it, go to the grocery store without a real plan.
Yep.
So if they see a deal on something and it's lesser familiar to them, they won't buy it because immediately they don't know what to do with it and they don't want to just fumble with their phone to figure it out at the grocery store. So if you have some back pocket recipes for those, I'm literally going to call this guide like the lesser known meats.
The lesser known meats. The PDF
then
writes
hopefully
itself.
That'll help. I know the PDF does write itself because like he'll go and he'll find like, a lot of people overlook pork.
Yep.
Like pork steaks. And he can cook a pork steak really well. And it's cheaper than a regular steak. But you still get the vibe of, it's not steak. I'm not going to claim it's steak, but you still get a really good vibe from pork steaks if they're done right.
Well, and if you're doing what we're talking about when it comes to affordability and building it out into the week, pork steaks are magnificent.
Yeah.
Right. You're not gonna make 9 T-bones for the week. Like that's just
a
little bit impractical and a very high price point.
Yeah. He also really likes, and he's only used it recently just for time savings. They have pre-marinated meats. So those are super helpful. They have you can go and there will always be pre-marinated pork loin. And pork loin is one of those things that like, if you don't do it right, it's like dry and chewy AF. Yep. So he stuffs them.
Is huge. Oh, stuffing them.
Yeah. Okay. But a lot of times they're marked down because people are like, what is this long, weird meat? And he can make a really good stuffed pork loin, but like they have marinated ones that are really good too.
Yeah.
And then if you don't want to buy pre-marinated, if that like skeezes you out a bit for some reason, Aldi also has really good cheap marinades and sauces. Like I'm picturing the aisle they're in right now.
Yep. No, I agree. There's so many varieties of stuff that, if you cook, let's just say you do what a lot of people are fearful of doing, that shredded chicken from like an Instant Pot. But if you got 3 to 4 good sauces and pairs with those things, like you're not eating the same meal more than once or twice in that week.
Yeah. Shout out to the orange stir fry sauce specifically.
Nice.
I see you in that aisle.
Oh, we've covered the benefits of eggs, tuna, beans, and lentils. Can't harp on those enough. Cheap, long shelf life, protein friendly, budget friendly. Can't go wrong.
Ride or die.
Last one in this, as far as all these finds, and this could be in any grocery, frozen veggies and rice. Frozen veggies are so good for so many things, and something as simple as liquid aminos, rice, and frozen veggies makes you a fried rice recipe right there, and it's so cheap.
If you aren't making stir fries to save money, you're missing out. Stir fries and soups are like the easiest things to make cheap.
Yep.
And those like quick steam rice bags, we probably go through like 3 of those a week.
Yeah.
The 96 biscuit rice or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
because it's, well, for you guys, it's probably a serving a piece per person, right?
yeah.
Maybe you need to make 1.5. For me and Kellis, we just split it, but it's just, it's under $2 usually. If you can find them on sale, even better.
Yep. We bulk buy usually at Costco, but we do buy quite a bit at Aldi too. We'll just buy a whole little case of them. We go through so many. So
okay. Before we wrap up, we want to go over some ways to splurge wisely, right? So we've talked about a lot of different things that are cheap, affordable, ways to spread it thin, but there are some things that provide a lot of value by spending a little bit of money, and we recommend it because it does go a long way. And the first one on this is a solid pair of shoes. And I don't mean solid as in like clogs or Nike Romaleo 2s for you weightlifters out there. I mean shoes that are going to fit your function. So if you're going to plan on doing a couch to 5K, it is definitely worth it to get a good pair of running shoes. And I'll even throw in running socks on that one because it will prevent blisters. It will prevent uneven wear and tear on your feet. It will help your ankles and your shins feel better. And that alone, peace of mind, means that you're going to be able to move forward better through your training and stay consistent. So what's on your feet for the activity you plan on doing is somewhere that I would say don't necessarily skimp on. Be smart. You can find sales and stuff like that, but it's definitely where you'll spend a little bit more money.
We will typically watch Black Friday sales, and we will buy our running shoes for the whole year, or our fitness shoes for the whole year. And that's like an amazing way to save money. So then in the middle of the year, because you should be switching out your shoes, like don't be so cheap that you're stretching shoes further than you should. Then you've got a pair of shoes that they're in your closet, they're ready to go. When you need to replace them again.
Yeah, absolutely. One that I also say, and this is just because I am a coach, but 1 month with a coach or an app, or you can throw like 1 or 2 personal training sessions in here. YouTube, all that stuff is great. But having someone to talk to problem solve, and to make sure they're like, all you have to do is learn the technique appropriately, which can happen in 1 to 2 training sessions, or going into a place and learning a circuit on the machines of the gym that you might have access to. That is going to go such a long way because that knowledge will stay with you forever. Yeah.
That was the best investment we made at Lifetime, is somebody to walk us through all the equipment.
Yeah, it's great. And it seems like a high dollar cost, but just remember it's paying for an hour of their time for them to teach you something that you can utilize over and over and over again.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The time savings of going through the equipment now when we're doing a workout, because we know it, is invaluable.
Yeah.
So think of things
knowledge
like that.
Stays with you. It's worth it. And then last one, simple cooking tools. What's your favorite simple cooking tool that you spend money on?
Gosh, probably the Instapot, but the rice cooker. I finally got rid of my rice cooker. I'd had it since college. It was $30. And I replaced it with the exact same rice cooker. I love that. And then I wouldn't let Neil get rid of the college rice cooker because it like hurt my soul. So I still actually have it. We have 2 now.
Oh my God, you hoarder. Just in case a part.
There's something wrong with me.
There's
something wrong with me.
I love that.
Good knives. Great. Good knives is a close behind, like a fast follow.
Yeah, if you're very hands-on with meal prep, good knives is a big one.
Yeah. If you want a really good set of knives that doesn't break the bank, we have Global Knives. It's the same set that Anthony Bourdain uses, and he shouts about on one of the No Reservations episodes. Super, super good knives, but they didn't break the bank.
Yeah. No. I as a former prep cook at Applebee's in Eureka, Missouri, a good knife and a bad knife, once you use it,
Yeah. He bought my parents a set because he was tired of using theirs over Christmas. So now there's a set that they have there for him.
Nice. I love him so much. Oh, I love that. Okay. So we're going to wrap up. Been going a decent amount of time, but it's a big part of how people getting started is finding affordable ways to do it. But the $100 or less challenge still stands. We invite anybody who listens to share their best budget hacks because we love sharing that. We've actually learned quite a bit from people we've worked with on ways to tweak and modify. Shout out to Vesta for that, because as far as lentils and tofu and most of the plant-based sources, that is who I learned from. So thank you, Beth.
She is our expert. She's our expert.
She really is. She's recipe wise. She's so good. We are creating downloadable shopping and workout starter guide stuff with ties to this episode. It was kind of just fell into place once we looked at the things, but it'll be a nice, easy resource guide that we'll be posting a link up to hopefully sometime in the next week or two. And then you don't need a trust fund to build strength. You just need a strategy. What a quote.
I know. I like those at the end of everyone.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
You don't need a mic drop quote.
Just need strategy. That's the biggest thing. And as always, if you have questions, engage with us on any of our social medias. We have YouTube, we have Insta, we have Facebook. Follow us, like us, share anything that you feel compelled to share. And as always, stay positively jacked.